Oh man, I was doing all right in the beginning, right? Came to be live for week one review, talked about how week two went, and those were, it was all of month one was orientation. So that's kind of how things are lately. I know it wasn't always like that. Got through the first week just fine, started right off with pediatrics. Got through the second week where I was doing MEDF, so inpatient medicine. And I was last live on the 14th reviewing weeks one and two. Now, week three, I was in clinic, so you don't really see my name on the schedule. I was doing clinic all week, and it's not going to be like that. Usually it'll be one day every week that I'll do clinic, and that's kind of the ACGME requirement. But that whole week was clinic for me, so from the 14th to, I guess, about the 19th. And clinics close Saturday and Sunday, so basically that. And then on Sunday, right here, the start of basically week four, I was doing nights, so 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., which also took quite the toll, and it was a difficult thing to get used to. Good thing or fun thing about nights, we'll get to it, but one of the best things is that you get 2 days off. You get a golden weekend essentially. Right, you get 2 days off when you finish doing 5 nights. So there's that. And then week 5 came around, so I was back to doing inpatient medicine, and here we are now to the August schedule. Right, so I started off with nights again. Okay, and again, I had just done it, so it's not like I fully recovered from doing nights. And it was pretty intense to have to go back to it. Got 2 days off again, and then I did clinic, had inpatient medicine just this Saturday, didn't work yesterday, and then today I have clinic again in about 2 hours. So here I am. Now, how did everything go? So what was the experience like? What was everything that I kind of had to get so busy with that I wasn't able to really come on live and talk? Well, there's a lot happening. I think one of the biggest things is that your drainage during residency isn't really like from treating patients. We've all been treating patients for quite a while by the time we get around to applying for the match. I think the biggest drainage is really just learning all the new optics, right? The new workflow, the new people's names, the layout of the hospital, the systems that are involved, the organization as a whole and what their rules are. Transferring to other organizations was one of the things I got into. So, coming back to clinic first though, since that's where we kind of left off at on the 14th. So the 14th to 18th essentially was all clinic, and it taught me how much harder it is to really run a clinic. First of all, it's opening up a business, right? So you got to hire people. You got to first open the business, maintain it. You got to hire people like your nurses, your medical assistants, your front desk, and cleaning team, and all of that. And then you also have to maintain your own, basically like business flow, right? So you have to advertise yourself. You have to kind of get patient feedback, right? You have to hire a basic office manager who's going to take care of a lot of the other stuff like that. And all in all, it ends up being a lot more troublesome. And I'm the one that's paying employees. I would be the one that would have all the business expenses. Compare that to working at a hospital, right? One of the big things, probably the biggest thing that goes away if you're working with a hospital rather than running your own clinic, is liability, right? None of the liability comes on you, in theory, when you work with a hospital, because it's a team thing, right? There's other doctors that are going to consult. There are many nurses that are going to see the same patient. So no singular person can be pinpointed out and attacked or sued. You would end up having to sue the whole hospital, in which case usually the hospital is not really going to lose. But when you're working in a clinic and it's just really you and people that are your employees, you're the person that gets sued if any patient somehow decides they're upset enough over something, And again, it's not easy for a patient to sue someone and win, but the thing is, it's not easy for a physician to make time to go to court and all of that, because you're just going to be losing out on income. You're going to be losing out on patient care. It's already something we're busy with. We don't have time to be running around and attending court days or something like that, and paying a lawyer and so on and so forth for malpractice. The clinic was also hard because you're kind of on your own with every patient, right? So you're ordering things, you have to wait for labs to come in. It won't happen as quickly as it does at a hospital. You have to wait for x-rays and other imagings and get follow-up with the patient. You don't really have an entire team to consult with per se, right? You can consult with some of your co-workers, your other inpatient hospitalists that are there with you, but you can't consult with, say, gastroenterology or cardiology and so on. So, there were challenges in that aspect. And then, of course, a lot of patients that just don't show up, right? So that kind of ruins the continuity of their care, especially if you were established with them and you were trying to get something done with their health care, right? But the hours are nice. We do 8 to 5 essentially, with 1 hour at 12 for lunch. So it's much more relaxing in that aspect. But that's just here. When you run your own clinic, you would end up essentially trying to see a patient every 15 or 30 minutes, and you could end up seeing about 25 plus, 30 plus patients in a day, which I guess your brain adapts to over time because it is a burnout. But that's kind of what would happen there. Now, nights was that next night? Yeah, nights were intense. All right, so my first night, it was with Dr. Vora here, who was finishing up her last night, right? So she was doing nights already, right? She finished 4 nights, and then on her 5th night, it was me and her. She has given me so much support and showing me the ropes and helping me make sure I understand what's happening, how to deal with all the different scenarios. Nighttime is pretty cool. What you end up doing is you're kind of responsible for all the patients in both pediatrics and internal medicine hospital admission. Family medicine hospital admission. And you kind of just watch for whatever day team told you to watch, right? Maybe you have to watch some people's hemoglobin levels. Maybe you have to watch some people's electrolytes or telemetry. Other patients might just need general pain support, right? Psychiatric help, etc. Some don't need anything, majority of them. But over that first week of doing nights from Sunday here, this is Sunday, right? Yeah, Sunday to Thursday. Yeah, I learned a lot. Every day was different, but there were a few things that were trending in a sense. The trend was that I would start my shift and it would be about 6:30 p.m. by the time handoff was done, and I'm all there now. And then around 7:30 or 8:30, between that 7:30 to 8:30 time, nurses would start pinging, and the first wave of communications would come in regarding patient not really wanting to sleep, and something would be going off, right? Now, that time period is also when the evening nurse team kicks in. They have a different timing than us. So that's when the evening team of nurses comes in, starts looking at everything. So they're all, completely freshened up and all of that. They're ready to go. And they catch things. They see maybe someone's missing an order of some kind of medication they need. And other patients might have some pain or something, or might have spiked a fever out of nowhere. So they start messaging about whatever is happening with all the different mess of patients, and it can get very overwhelming, especially if it's just 2 of you and you have like 30 patients on all the teams combined. But it is what it is. You hear every message, you respond to every message, you deal with it, and you send what you have to send. Nurses and residents, you got to be your best behavior with them and try to really connect with them and make sure that they can also feel like they can rely on you. And that relationship can often also be pretty bad with a few of them, especially the few nurses that just might be out there to try to make residents their little pet. You know, you'll see a lot of nurses who'll send out messages basically saying, send this order, or I need you to send this order, etc., etc. You know, oh, I need you to come see the patient right now. And I'm like, why do you need me to come see the patient? You're there, the patient may be saying something, answer that, and then let them know to just chill out, because not every time the patient wants to see a physician is a physician going to be summoned, right? I mean, I don't see you calling my attending every time a patient says they want to see someone. Patients are always going to want to see someone. That's also a thing, right? And it makes sense if it's something that they are truly concerned about and I'm there, I'll gladly go see. But then there have been times where some patients would summon me essentially, and the nurse would just message me to tell me to come see. Oh, this patient's requesting a physician to come see. Okay, great, I'll be there. I show up and we talk about everything that's happening and what the plan is, make sure they understand, right? That's my job. And then I had just gotten back to my desk and boom, another ping on my phone to come back and see the patient again. I'm just like, what could have happened? I walk back again anyway. I go back to the patient and say, hey, what's up? And he starts telling me something new now, you know, and another thought that's on his mind and whatnot. And I'm just like, okay, but like, we didn't really have to have this chat right now. And you start seeing what's happening. Basically, you know, being admitted isn't fun. They're bored and they're really trying to just have conversations and figure something out and get more food sometimes, or whatever it might be, you know, and really understand. Or maybe sometimes they feel like they're going to be able to provide some information that might actually help, but the point is it won't help because I'm the evening team. We don't really do much overnight, you know, unless it's like something extremely critical. The nighttime is just really to make sure the patient stays well, patient sleeps okay, morning makes it, patient still breathing, all is well. Morning team is then going to go ahead and resume treatment with whatever is necessary, right? Management. So it can get pretty rough in that aspect. Of course, the schedule is another thing, right? So 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., you're basically awake. There are beds and everything. You could sleep if you really wanted to. I found it really hard too because there were just never more than 20 to 25, maybe 30 minutes tops that went by without a ping. You know, so you're gonna get a ping and it's just gonna break your sleep. It was like, why even try sleeping at that point? So it was rough like that. I would just stay up. I would get home, go to sleep by 7, wake up at 11 a.m., do what I need to do, which was really awesome because you have the day to yourself in a sense. But, you know, I wouldn't be able to do too much, but I would try to devote 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., 4 hours of my day to getting rid of day chores that need to be done, whatever it might be, and really just, you know, getting some appointments out of the way because you're actually free for once, and then just sleep again from 3 to 5 and show up fully refreshed. You know, it was what worked for me. That was what worked for me really well. So I got to fine tune that on my first week. I took a great time relaxing in these 2 days off, and then right back into inpatient treatment, right? So inpatient again was just fine, no big deal. You're seeing patients, you're sending them orders, you're managing them, you're discharging whoever is good to go, you're sending consults for whoever needs to be seen by a specialist, and so on and so forth. Then August rolled around. Right, so August rolled around. August 1st, I started nights again. Okay. And this was pretty intense. So now August is no longer orientation, right? Orientation is done. So night team is me, Dr. Miller, and day team is pretty big. They're doing their thing, you know, pediatrics and MedF. They're all running what they need to do. I'm doing my best keeping patients going. Nothing significantly new, but we did face all the same challenges, right? The trend that I was mentioning, 7:30 to 8:30 you get messages. Around 11 you'll get another set of messages for nurses basically requesting something to help their patients fall asleep. And you can't always give it to them, right? You can't actually, probably never should just send whatever a nurse is requesting. You have to go figure out what's happening and why, and it's a bit more work than just, okay, sure, and I'll send it, right? But I personally don't really like sending sleeping medicine for patients who are admitted because it can cause some kind of confusion in a lot of patients, especially if they're not used to sleeping medicine at all. And being admitted itself is quite a confusing thing. It's mentally draining to be admitted. There has been quite a bit of research of, patients who are admitted for 3 or more days often end up having long-term neurological consequences, right? More so related to like delirium and dementia. So we don't want to kind of worsen that neurological outcome in patients who are admitted. But yeah, I got through nights, had my 2 days off, right? The 6th and 7th. Went back to clinic on the 8th, did my best, again, same kind of general struggle there because clinic time, I felt like is a little hard, and I'm doing it again today as well. We're just managing patients who are completely in my own hand. I don't really have much of a team. Sending out orders and getting labs is a little slower. I just didn't like it compared to the inpatient treatment, but I have plenty of time to learn more and keep developing, and my things I like might change as we go along. And then tomorrow I'll be back at it to just being inpatient medicine all week. I'll have Sunday off, and then this whole month basically is supposed to be inpatient medicine. So Monday is my clinic day. And then all week, every day, that's going to be my 6 days a week, 1 day of clinic, 5 days of inpatient medicine, and just having a day off. So there's becoming some level of continuity and regularity now, which is nice. And that's residency, I'm going to try to see how things go and keep you guys posted. But feel free to reach out anytime anything comes to mind. And thanks a lot for watching.